Step one, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step two, get some good, some food in you. Step three, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step four, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Good morning, and welcome to Good Morning Crypto, where we turn your early hours in the morning into your edge in financial freedom. Today, I've got a few headlines on Bitcoin, and that's about it that I'm seeing for some big headlines. We did see some decent inflows. We saw some heavy TradFi market sell-off, and Bitcoin remaining a little resilient. We did see a little bit of a pullback after the pump, and we'll talk about what level we ended up hitting there with a news article. So let's dive on in and get you prepped for some success today. We do see quite a bit of red from yesterday's close, but we're starting to see some green in the pre-market. We do have Apple sitting down 1.94%, looking up over 8% in the pre-market right now, up 1.06. We've got Nvidia, which is down 4.51 off of its close yesterday, seeing some decent inflows right now, up 1.44. Got Berkshire Hathaway sitting down 2.18, seeing some nice inflows as well, up 0.77. We got Amazon down 3.06, looking to the upside this morning, 1.28. Got Eli Lilly sitting down 2.61, looking up 0.76 so far. We've got ExxonMobil down 1.47, looking up 0.93 in the pre-market. We got Tesla down a whopping 5.75%, looking to the upside this morning, up 0.82. We got P&G down 2.86, also looking a little bit down in the pre-market right now, down 0.08. We've got Microsoft is sitting down at 2.35, looking to the upside this morning, up 0.88 right now. We've got Google sitting down 2.28 from its close, looking up in the pre-market as well, up 1.04. And we've got Meta down 3.35%, looking up in the pre-market though, up about 0.8% right now. Let's hop over to the crypto side of things. We are looking a little bit mixed on that daily. We do see a bunch of red starting to show up. We've got Bitcoin up 1.2%. We've got Ethereum starting to see some sell-off, down 0.9. We've got XRP down 1.3%. BNB remaining a little resilient right now, up 0.1%. We've got Solana down 0.4%. We've got Dogecoin down up 0.9%. We've got Tron up 2.1%. Cardano sitting down 8% right now. We've got Chainlink down 1.4%. Avalanche down 2.3%. Leo token getting hit a little bit hard right now, down 3.1%. We've got Stellar Lumens sitting down 5%. We've got SWI still remaining a little resilient to the upside, up 1.8%. We've got Shiba Inu down 1%. We've got TON down 3.5%. HBAR sitting with 0% change on that daily, and Bitcoin Cash up 1.4%. While Hyperliquid took back that number 20 spot from Litecoin, up 0.5%. Let's hop over to those fear and greeds, because we are still looking a little bit fearful on the stock side of things. Not too unexpected considering we saw some decent sell-off from yesterday. We are looking back to the neutral side of things for crypto, as Bitcoin has remained a little more resilient. People are a little less scared there. We'll kind of have to see if we can turn some of those key areas we talked about into some support today, turn that 382 into the new bottom of our range, and have a potential move for the upside. But we do have a lot of liquidity residing to the top side that could just be a sweep for some top side liquidity before coming back down. Let's get that to that 24-hour and that daily liquidations. We do have a lot of liquidity residing on the daily at $89,000. There is a decent range to the top side there. We do have that 3-day sitting quite similarly with some top side liquidity up to 89,200. Zoom that on out just a little bit more. Looking at that 1 week, kind of looking at the same thing there. We're just ranging with some liquidity all the way up to about 89,400 there. So that zone, it does get a little bit bigger the higher time frames you look at. If you look at to the bottom side there on that 1 week, we do start seeing some bottom side liquidity down here at $83,000. Zoom that on out to the 2 week, and you can kind of see that you're starting to look a little nice. We have swept most of that top side liquidity on a higher term time frame, and it's looking quite bare in either direction. So we're going to have to see if we can grab some of that shorter time liquidity that's residing to the top side, turn some key areas into support, and make a higher low for a change. We'll zoom this on out to that 3 month, and that's where you can see we really just have this one hot spot down here at $64,000, and it's looking quite nice to the upside. Let's hop over to that economic calendar for the day. We are looking for a little bit of data coming out of the markets this morning. We do have a few Fed speeches at 9 o'clock and 9:30. I will be watching those quite heavily. We do have a lot of Fed speeches this week. We also have a money supply coming out at 1 p.m. Not a heavy market mover, but something to keep your eye on. We get a speech out of the Bank of England today, and right after that at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, we have another Fed chair speaking, and we get our API crude oil stock change coming out at 4:30 Eastern Time. So another thing to kind of watch your eye on, keep your eye on for today. We don't have a lot of heavy data coming out for today. Just a bunch of Fed speeches, another one at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, and then we will be getting S&P Global Composite PMI flash coming out of Australia at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So that will be a big market mover for that Asia trading time zone. Something to keep your eye out for the evening, especially if you're going to be trading. That big data drop for the week is going to be tomorrow. Let's scroll it on down just a little bit. We get the S&P Composite PMI flash coming out of the European Union for tomorrow morning at 4:30. Scrolled on down just a little bit. We got that housing data for the 30-year mortgage rate applications and housing market index coming out at 7 a.m. tomorrow. So that's going to be that first thing we keep our eye on for our trading time zone. Scroll it on down just a little bit. We also get that S&P Composite PMI flash tomorrow as well for America. So keeping our eyes out for today's moves. There will be a lot of posturing for tomorrow's data, looking like a bit of a slowdown on that PMI flash. So definitely something to keep in mind. That topside liquidity sweep could be the move to sell off on people's heads. We do have a few people in the chat this morning. I see Jesse Gluck in here saying, good morning, BC. Hit that like button, everyone. I appreciate you, Jesse. I'm going to hit the like button right now. We got JR in the chat saying, good morning, brother. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to you. Hope you're having a great morning so far. We got Crypto Billy in the chat as well. Good morning to you, sir. Going to drop some Billy Goat tail emojis in the chat for you. Let's scroll it on down. Looks like a lot of talking about ETH. So I know ETH got hit a little bit hard the other day after a decent little move. So we might have to take a look at that Ethereum chart. Let me get that on the list. And I know since we got Jesse and Crypto Billy in here, we might need to take a look at some ADA. I see Buck in the chat as well saying good morning to you, sir. Let me get ETH and ADA added to my list. Just had a bunch of Bitcoin that I was wanting to look at today because, that is going to be driving the market. We did see Bitcoin remaining a little more resilient than some of these altcoins as we're trying to make that a next push up to 88,777. That's what I have marked out on this chart. It might be a little bit different depending on what chart you're looking at, but that 88,800 zone looks like a little bit of a resistance area. Zoom this on out to the daily. You can kind of see that 200 SMA ended up being a little bit of a resistance zone, coming in quite nicely with that 88,800 area that we were looking at for resistance yesterday. We'll kind of have to see if we can get above that. If we do reject off of it, look all the way back down here at about 87,700 for that 382 on my fib retracement to see if we can turn it into some support there. If not, it is a nice little area back down here at 85,200 that I'd be looking at for a very strong bounce. You do still see a lot of red money flow right here on the daily, looking like it might be getting that curve back to the upside to see some inflows for the first time in quite a while here. It's been over a month since we've seen some positive inflows on Bitcoin on this daily. We do have that MACD still making a continued move to the upside here as we continue to print green candles on the histogram, waiting to see if we can hold a lot of this volume in the range and maintain this for a little bit of sideways movement here. We are at the top side of the range, so might be eyeing that top side liquidity sweep before we start looking back down. You do have a lot of liquidity residing above this resistance, so that's something I would keep my eye on for the day. Let's zoom this on in, take a look at that 4 hour. As you can see here, once we got above this 85 at 251 point, we really moved up quite quickly to the 382 here. We did see a little bit of resistance at that area before we got above it. We have not turned that into some strong support. So seeing that turned into some support would be kind of nice here, especially on a higher term time frame. You are starting to see a little bit of rollover here on the MACD, and that prime oscillator sitting at an indecision point. It is moving a little bit sideways here as we wait to see if our money flow and volume can continue in the green. You did have your true 7 that clipped out after we got that push up to 88,800 yesterday. So that is something to keep in mind. We might be bumping up against some resistance all over again, especially after that true 7 clipped, waiting to see if that positive money flow can keep coming in here on that 4 hour. Take a look at that 1 hour. That 1 hour is also looking quite indecisive, especially with that MACD. You got that MACD and indicator line running in tandem sideways here. Would need to see some strong money flow coming in to get that nice little curvature off of our indicator line and push us back up as we come up to this resistance area. That would bode well for that nice top side liquidity sweep where we saw all of that money on the 1 day, the 3 day, the 1 week, and the 2 week all coming up just shy of $90,000. So just an area to watch for. We also have a strong resistance at 90,800. So a little bit of a zone to the top side of this heavy resistance that we would need to get above and sweep that liquidity on. If we can get above that 88,800, you do have this 1 hour looking like it's going to roll over here on the prime oscillator. Just switch to red. We've got two divergences stacked up here waiting to play out. We don't see that money flow rolling over just yet. It is moving quite sideways here in this range, but your volume is starting to get a little bit of a rollover here. So if that volume does decrease or your money flow remains green, looking at a little bit of a slowdown on some of that selling pressure before we really see that selling pressure kick into high gear. We did see Sailor buying some Bitcoin here before it got that strong move to the upside. I don't know if people have been paying attention, but that normally ends up being a little bit of a topping indicator. So just waiting to see if we sweep that top side liquidity and then push a little bit lower, because that man is amazing at buying tops. He does it all wrong. All right, we got this 15-minute here rolling over just a little bit. We do still have a positive green money flow and a positive volume here. So waiting to see if we can really bump back up against this 88,800 for the morning before we really push a little bit lower. Your MACD line is remaining to the bottom side of our indicator line now. It did get a little bit of a break to the bottom side here as we started moving sideways. Got that last little push up before we came back to the bottom side and really rejected off of that indicator line here. Would need to get back above it and point to the upside here instead of seeing these red candles start printing on the histogram to really make me continue a little bit bullish for the morning. We do see heavy resistance to the top side, so that's where I'd want to see us come back down, see that 382 turn into some strong support and continue to the upside there to really sweep this top side liquidity before we make a decision whether we go back down or whether we continue up to the upside. All right, we saw ADA being agreed with for one of those projects we need to look at. I see Donato Cabrera in the chat. Good morning to you. Jesse Gluck saying, we got 10 people watching, only three likes. Smash up that like button. Appreciate you, Jesse. Let's hop over to that first news article. We did see a lot of inflows on that Bitcoin ETF yesterday. Spot Bitcoin ETF sees 381 million inflows as BTC holds steady amid TradFi sell-off. U.S. spot Bitcoin exchange traded fund recorded 381.4 million in net inflows on Monday, marking their largest daily inflows since January 30th, as Bitcoin outperformed traditional financial markets amid sharp declines in U.S. stock and indices and the dollar. ARK and 21 shares saw the largest inflows with the 12 Ethereum ETF among the 12 ETFs yesterday, with 116.1 million flowing into the fund, according to SoSo Value Data. Fidelity followed with 87.6 million in inflows, while Bitwise BITB reported inflows of 45.1 million. BlackRock's IBIT, the largest spot Bitcoin ETF by net assets, logged in 41.6 million. We'll kind of have to see if this gives a little bit of continuation to the upside for Tuesday after that market close. They end up buying all that Bitcoin. So we did see that nice little move to the upside after market ended up closing. We'll kind of have to see if that continues into Tuesday. We do have Bitcoin risks 10 to 15% BTC price dip after key rejection near 89,000. This is kind of what I was teasing. When I was doing some of that TA, we did see that 200 SMA coming in as some resistance now. Would really need to get above that area. Data from Cointelegraph, Market Pro, and TradingView shows cooling after hitting new highs of 88,874. Having found strength at the start of the week, Bitcoin raised hopes of a gold copycat move as the latter set multiple all-time highs. Those highs continued on April 22nd, while BTC's price action conversely saw a rejection at the key 200-day simple moving average. Interesting spot, broke above the daily 200 EMA, blue, and diagonal resistance. So far, saw a sharp rejection on the daily 200 moving average. Target trader Dan Crypto Trades said in a post on X alongside an explanatory chart. Jesus, I'm having a little bit of trouble with those words this morning. You can kind of see here, same thing I was talking about for the morning. We did see that rejection off of the daily 200 moving average. We did break above a resistance line though, so we'll need to see if we turn some of that into some support here. The 200-day SMA traditionally forms support during Bitcoin bull markets, but we lost it in March as crypto faced sell-side pressure when the US trade war began. Since then, BTC has seen 5 months lows under $75,000, and despite a healthy rebound, some market participants are keen to call time on the latest episode of price upside. Among them is a fellow trader, Roman, who's referenced stochastic relative index values in overbought territory. As we approach horizontal resistance, which I talked about on the chart this morning, I wanted to show that the last 4 times the stochastic RSI has been overbought, we've seen a 10 to 15% correction, he noted, adding that such a move would make perfect sense given the downward momentum of the S&P 500. Bitcoin's reversal has started, says trader, as Cointelegraph continues to report. Other bullish market commentary focus on the confluence of macroeconomic factors, which we focus very heavily here on Piper Academy, especially since Bitcoin is a risk-on asset. It will be affected more heavily. Seeing all of this upside the past few days has kind of been that Trump Jerome Powell, and waiting to see if we do get a little bit of some more positive news on a rate cut, because that will kind of give Bitcoin some momentum to the upside. This was that Bitcoin gold comparison chart. You see gold making that new all-time high. I saw everyone comparing Bitcoin to gold yesterday. It hasn't really correlated quite nicely. You do see gold making that new all-time high as Bitcoin looks like it's breaking down for a new low. Let's hop over to that gold chart, because we saw gold make a new all-time high at $3,500. A nice even number there before it started to see some sell-off. We did remain under the top side of our Fibonacci extension before we got that next push to the upside here. I will kind of have to draw out a new Fib extension to see what those next levels might bring, but we do have that 1618 coming in at $3,624. So that's one of those next levels I would really look for, as we do see that curvature again on our MACD, getting at a nice curvature. After a few red candles here, your money flow has slowed down a bit, but your volume is maintaining quite nicely here, as your prime oscillator is also getting that curvature to the upside here on the daily. So if we do see some continued inflows here, would be a nice push back up to that heavy resistance area now at $3,500 to see if we can turn that into some support and get all the way up to that $3,624 mark. Zoom this on out to the daily. That daily does look like it needs to cool off just a little bit here on the prime oscillator, but that MACD still has plenty of room to run here. Got that nice cross of our indicator line to the upside, printing bigger and bigger green candles here. So waiting to see if we get that curvature here on the MACD like we got here on our prime oscillator. Saw our first overbought signal here, and if you scroll it on back just a little bit, when we saw that overbought signal here, we did get that nice strong move back to some key support before we got that next push to the upside. We are looking for a little bit of a cool off after such a heavy push to the upside. It might not be a multi-day cool off, but just a nice little sell off before we see some continuation to the upside with current economics. With the current economic trends, we will take a look at the Dixie because we have been seeing that continued to get battered down. We do see that MACD line continuing to the downside here as it's broken below our indicator line, creating some more width here as we continue to print very large red candles here on the histogram. We did talk about yesterday the potential for that move back up towards the golden pocket and 99.21 before we see some strong resistance, especially since you did see that that prime oscillator and the true 7 get that reversal signal and clip out and see a move back to the upside here. It is still remaining on light red with some overbought signals that have flashed. So looking for a nice little last push up before we really break down below this key little key little support area I had talked about. We got a bounce off of it, a few, about 8 cents above that. So looking to see if we break below that and come all the way back down towards our platinum pocket. We are at multi-year lows for the Dixie. So we haven't been here since 2022. This is a little bit worrisome for the dollar here, but we do have some very strong support below that platinum pocket at 94.58. I would look at a continued downside trend here. I see Consolid CMG in the chat. Good morning to you. And I see Steve Hickey as well. Good morning. Hope you're having a great day so far. Let's hop over towards those alt requests. We did have Ethereum that was talked about, so we'll take a look at that Ethereum chart, see if it got back up to my sell wall that I had been talking about the other week. Zoom this on out, take a look at the 4 hour there. Looks like that sell wall has not been touched again. We did get that nice wick in action all the way to the top side of my sell wall before we really pushed back down here. We did see us reject off of one of those key levels I had talked about yesterday, last week. That was at $1,635. That's pretty much exactly where we got some resistance from yesterday. We push back down here, looking to find some support at $1,615 here and continue to the upside. You do have that MACD, which just broke to the top side of our indicator line. Got that prime oscillator, getting that curvature back to the upside, sitting light red here. Your volume is kind of ugly. It is sitting light red though, as your money flow is getting that curvature back to the upside. So would really want to turn some of this into some support here at about $1,635 before we get that push back up towards our sell wall here. That range was about $1,670 to $1,692. That's been a bit of a resistance area for Ethereum in its current trend here. We do have that 1 hour looking like it's getting a little toppy. That's where I'd look back down for that bounce at $1,615. You are still printing green candles here on the histogram, but your prime oscillator and MACD are both getting that curvature as money flow is looking to roll over just a little bit. We do see very positive money inflows though, so something to keep your eye on. Would look for a little bit of a bounce to the downside with those positive money with that positive money flow on that hourly. You do have that 15-minute getting that very heavy roll over here on in the MACD, and that prime oscillator looking straight to the downside here as your money flow is kind of rolling over. Volume is maintaining as some green positive, as very green and positive, so something to kind of hold us up as we get to some of these areas we move through quite quickly. You do have your moving average bands very constricted here, so if we end up getting a nice strong bounce here, would expect to see some of these start crossing to the upside. If we don't get that nice bounce, would expect a lot of these to start moving towards the downside with some quickness here, as we do see money flow waiting to kind of decide whether it's going to remain positive or if we're going to start seeing some continued heavy outflows for Ethereum. We did have ADA requested. We can always take a look at that one since everyone likes some ADA here in the morning. We got ADA getting that push back to the upside of 62 cents. That was an area I talked about wanting to see us turn into some support. We'll kind of have to take a look at what that 4 hour is bringing our way. You do see we got that nice strong bounce off of what was a resistance trend line I had drawn out from last week before we really got that push back above 62 cents here. Looking to see if we can maintain some of that 62 price level, as our prime oscillator is looking light red here, but you do have very light green inflows. Looking to see if this true 7 will come back down here and really clip out. We'll kind of have to see what the morning brings our way. But your 4 hour is getting that nice strong bounce off of our indicator line here. And we're starting to print our first heavy green candle there. We'll kind of have to see what these shorter term time frames are bringing our way, but it does look like they are continuing to the upside. You got that reversal signal, prime oscillator now sitting green, but it is getting close to that point where you might start seeing some reversal signals start flashing. MACD line broke to the top side of that indicator line with some bigger green candles starting to print on the histogram. So waiting to see if we can continue to see some positive money flow here in this range. 62 cents is a decent level to buy some Ethereum at if you do or some ADA at if you do think that we get that last little alt push to the upside. I do think we see some of these dino coins, as people like to call them, get that continuation move to the upside. You are looking at this 15-minute cooling off just a little bit, as your true 7 is maintaining quite sideways here. If we do see that volume hold steady here in the green, but your money flow dip back down into the red here, I would look for that nice strong bounce here where we see 62 cents come into play. We do have a little bit of an area above that, which would also be a nice short-term bouncing area where we saw all of these equal candle bodies. Let's make that a little bit thinner so we know that's a short-term bounce zone that comes in at about 63,124. That'd be a decent area for a cool off here for ADA and a bouncing continuation from, especially with how bullish those short-term time frames are looking. We said China, Russia, Brazil, and many other countries selling the dollar, buying gold in hopes of breaking the dollar to push back on Trump. This is a worldwide chess match. Yes, most definitely. We can actually take a look at some of those bonds there. That is not the right section. There we go. You are seeing these yields increase which they are inversely correlated to what is happening on the bonds. So if they are increasing, that means you are seeing some sell off. The 3-month maintaining quite nicely, as well as that 20-year. So though in the short term and the very long term, people are not too unafraid of the dollar. You just have that 1 year and 2 year are really seeing that hard sell off there. So for the long term, people think that US dollar is a good bet. For the short term, they do think with the market uncertainty that the US dollar is a decent bet, safer than other options. But your 1 year and your 2 year, people are looking for that short term gain to be made elsewhere, as they've quite heavily sold off that 1 year, getting that strong pushback to the upside, seeing if we can break above the highs from here, which would be about $4.17% there on that 1 year. You do have the same thing coming in. We got a nice pushback to the upside and seeing a little bit of some buying coming in on the 2 year. We'll kind of have to see though if this trend breaks back towards the upside here, because we ended up sweeping some of the lows from here and looking like you might start seeing a higher low made here and continued sell off on that 2 year as well. Not looking a whole lot better for bonds around the world though. So European Union bonds seeing some sell off, German bonds seeing some very heavy sell off. This 30-year there looking like a look at this gap. You think our bond market's insane? Look at Germany's 30-year bond market. Just got a nice gap up of 26%. 26% gap on their 30-year bond. So at least we're not doing that bad. You see Japan's bonds are getting bought up in an alternative here. So Japan has been making some nice strength against the dollar. I do think we start seeing some more outflows from that US dollar into the Japanese market. That's something I've talked about quite heavily here on my show. You do see Great Britain's long-term bonds getting bought up quite nicely. Short-term seeing some sell-off as well. And China's bonds also seeing very heavy sell-off there. So it's not just the US. Nobody's liking bonds right now. They are stacking a lot of that money in gold, as we saw that strong move to $3,500. I don't know if anyone has any other TA requests they'd like me to take a look at, but can definitely take a look at those. We got red and green candles give me PTSD or anxiety from the huge amount of losing and sucking when I first started. Now I got chill colors. I love the red and green, you know. Red lets me know sell, and green lets me know they're buying. So I don't know. I've just been using that for forever. So I've never really switched it up. APT. We can take a look at Aptos. All right, APT, and we'll take a look at it on Coinbase. I don't think I've ever taken a look at Aptos before. We definitely have some time to take a look at some Link as well. I know Link was pretty. Apparently I have taken a look at Aptos. It's just been a super long time, because it ended up breaking below the zero line of my fib retracement here. Might have to have a bigger macro fib retracement to see what levels we're coming in at. We do have the lows from here. Actually, let's just delete that. Come in from the bottom here. Looking like we're trying to maintain the zero line of this range here. So holding that zero line quite nicely of that range. We do have a heavy resistance to the top side of us. Looking like we're seeing a little bit of some curvature here on the prime oscillator and the MACD on the daily money flow would need to continue in the green here. Let's zoom this on in. Volume just switched from red to green. We'll see what the 1 hour and the day might be bringing our way. Oh, looking like you're looking at that MACD cross here for that hourly as you've started printing light red candles here on the histogram. Your prime oscillator just switched from red to green here. Your volume is slowing down quite nicely, looking like you're just waiting on some money flow here. Money flow still on some outflows for Aptos. You have a bit of a resistance area to the top side at about $5.24. Let's get that horizontal ray drawn out for you. Comes in quite nicely from that candle wick, and we do see very nice equal candle bodies here. Let's zoom that on in. This 1 hour has some very nice candle bodies that rejected off of that $5.20 zone. So that'd be an area to kind of look to turn into some support there. My BTC is up almost 5x. I sold all my profitable alts in March 24th and bought some more alts on March 24th. Everything from that point is even or down. Plus my Dino coins from 21 are all down. Yep, and that's why I haven't been in alts in quite a while there. It's kind of rough to see that as Bitcoin has a very healthy retracement, that all of the alt market has kind of just shit the bed. I'm sorry for the language. I hope I don't get dinged for it, but that's really what happened. They all kind of just poo-pooed all over the market, and it's been really sad to see. Everyone was telling people at the beginning of this Bitcoin bull run that alts were going to make them millionaires and buy up the alts. And I was just looking at a market that was massively oversaturated. We saw millions and millions of meme coins that have been made in this past year alone. And that's go back to 2024, and they were talking about 1,000 new coins being made daily. So all of that sentiment kind of led me to believe that we wouldn't get any kind of alt run that everyone was expecting. So we did see some of these Dino coins like XRP, which has been around since 2011, mind you, get those nice moves to the upside. Also, a few other projects from the 2017 run, they got a nice, decent move to the upside as well. So, definitely something to keep in mind as we go forward into the next cycle, that maybe alts aren't the way to go. We have been seeing a lot of consolidation into Bitcoin. Let's hop over, take a look at my Bitcoin tab here, get over to that Bitcoin dominance and get that pulled up for you. We got Bitcoin dominance getting that move to 64% here. You did see some heavy resistance at 64.5%, but it does look like we made a very equal low on that dominance, and then are getting that pushback to the upside here. MACD looking to cross our indicator line, prime oscillator getting that curvature back in, money flow remaining in the green here. Volume has slowed down just a little bit on that, but we did see all of those inflows from the ETF yesterday, so you might see that continuation on some volume back into the positive for your dominance. This is that 15-minute. Zoom this on out. Take a look at the daily. The daily also looking like you're getting that curvature back to the upside here. Prime oscillator getting that nice move to the upside as your money flow on the daily for Bitcoin dominance is getting that curvature back up. So Bitcoin dominance making its next run up. We did talk about wanting to see some of these higher levels here at about 70%, where we see this 1618 on our fib extension. That's that kind of topping point I'm looking for Bitcoin dominance. So Might see that coming into play here soon as we see all of this, all of these alts kind of selling off and continuing to, you know, crap all over people's hopes and dreams. It is 6:20. It is 5:28 though. So it's about time for me to wind the show on down. 2024 was it. It was a very profitable year, but since March 24, been horrible. But the lesson is to profitable navigation through this, and a success story will ultimately be found. Hashtag staking. Yeah, and that's what I was staking quite a few projects there. So that's why I found actually some of my favorite projects was just because I was looking for some decent staking projects. That's how I found Near and Injective. So both of those did quite nicely for me in 2024, but they didn't do anything for me in 2025, and I was glad I sold off most of my bags back at highs and only bought just very minimal on those alts. So let's see, we got K Diggity in the chat in here as I'm winding the show on down. We got Lasers Go Pew Pew in here as well. Good morning, good morning. I love watching this guy cook, says JR. I'm sure that was about me just getting a little bit spicy on all those alts. All right, boom. There's one more like for you, Jesse BC. I was lurking for a few. Well, I appreciate you sliding in at the end of the show and saying good morning, K Diggity. It's always nice to see you in the chats. Make sure to tune in to the rest of the shows on the Piper Academy. We got the morning market report at 10 a.m. Eastern time. I hope Piper's there to break down some of that data we will see for tomorrow, because I do think we see a little bit of market volatility tomorrow, and any moves to the upside might get poo-pooed on with tomorrow's data. I know, but I've just been going with that trend for this morning. I guess we're just talking about that one. We got trading with OC at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So if you need a little help on the charts, or you just need a little refresher, sometimes it's just nice to take that step back, be like, what am I actually looking at here? And OC does a great job at refreshing or teaching anyone new. We also got Markets After Dark with Lunar Beaches Crypto at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. If you didn't see last night's, definitely go check it out. Give that man a thumbs up. I will see y'all in the morning motivational mindset video here in an hour, and then at Alex O Crypto. I'll see y'all all in the chats there as well. I hope everyone has a great day. Make sure to wake up, because it might be a little bit volatile after we get that topside sweep, but it's going to be a good day.